For today, I'm going to be doing a walkthrough on one of the pieces that I did for my emotion series, and this one is Resentment. The first thing I did is outlined it and transferred it onto a piece of paper. Now, some of you were asking about possibly having downloadable versions of these outlines, so what I've done is I've made them available on my Patreon, so if you wanted that, I'll have a link to that in the description box. And next, after I outlined it, what I did is I moved on to watercolour pencils, and it kind of made me laugh a little bit because I realised how long it's been since I've used these watercolour pencils, because the first pencils that I got out were sharpened with a regular sharpener, and I hate doing that, and I haven't done that in about 5 years just because I prefer to sharpen my pencils with a knife so that I can get the really sharp point like what you can see with these pencils. So after about 5 minutes of drawing this, I stopped, took all my pencils, resharpened them the way I liked, and then carried on applying the colour. This is one of my favourite parts of doing any kind of painting or drawing, and that's where I have a rough idea. And normally what I do is on the sketch, the original sketch that I've done on the transfer paper, is I'll make notes on what kind of colours I want to use and what kind of things I absolutely want to stick to with the design. And then once I start painting, I still have those notes next to me, but I also let the paint kind of do what it wants to do. And one of the things I knew is that I wanted to have a combination of blues and reds, and I kind of wanted to make the skin look like it was irritated and infected, but also still be quite close to a natural skin tone so that it's not really obvious and it doesn't look like zombie makeup. So what I kept doing is I kept layering all these different colours. I laid down the blues where I definitely wanted blues, I laid down the reds where I definitely wanted more reds to be, and then kept on working those colours and layering them until I got the effect that I wanted.
That's less than it seems.
While I started off this piece using watercolours, towards the end what I started to do is use a few inks, particularly for more of the green and yellow tones. Some of the colours that I had, once I layered them on top of the colours which were already there, they just started to look a little bit muddy, and I didn't want that. I wanted them to look almost acidic and like they were radiating anger and resentment. So I started to use a few washes of inks, and I did this very, very slowly because unlike watercolours, you can't really go back and wash the colour out. So once that ink's down, it's down. So I applied these very, very lightly and gradually until I got the colours that I wanted, and then I started moving in for the details like the eyebrows, the eyelashes, and for these I used a combination of blues, darker blues, and then even some greens. Although it doesn't look like there is green in there, there is actually green, but it's just been layered so that it's very, very subtle. And then for the hair, I started using a combination of inks, and this was something where I did deviate a little bit from my notes. I did originally want the hair to be red, but it occurred to me while I was doing the skin that for Resentment, I kind of wanted something which wouldn't be a very natural red, more of a very angry red, something that looks like it was irritated and almost radioactive. So what I started to do is layer a combination of a few different colours. I used a scarlet colour which almost looks a little bit pink. It looks quite pink in real life and it looks quite pink in the video. But then after that what I started to do is I started to layer some purples over that, some more traditionally coloured reds and not so much of an acidic red, and kept layering those colours until I started to get all the details that I wanted. Now that I'm close to finishing off the piece, this is where I'm going to start finishing off all the little details. So I'm going to be outlining the thorns. I'm also going to be adding a few little points along the nose, along the eyes, just because the skin has been layered so lightly, and then compared to the hair is so bright and vivid. You need a few more points where you're going to be bringing the attention back to the face. So I added a few more details in the lips with the black ink, along the eyelashes and also the nose, just so that it doesn't get completely overwhelmed by the hair. And then I finished off by outlining the design and going over things and making sure they were as neat and as detailed as I could possibly get them. And that's it, I'm done. I don't like to keep my old artwork just because it ends up cluttering my entire studio, so I'll be making this available on eBay if you wanted to get your hands on it. As I mentioned, I'll also have the outline available on my Patreon, and I'll have a new video for you soon.